Welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. I'm your host, Letitia Ringe, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I hope you're all doing so well. Today's episode is our second episode in our World-Class Business and Leadership for Her series. And this episode is all about your world-class business blueprint. Now, most of the women that I support when it comes to their business and brand journey have a strong aversion to any kind of blueprint or plan for their business. And yet at the same time, they also have an unconscious, or in some cases, even a conscious desire to know what the right plan or strategy is for their business. In other words, they believe that there is a right strategy, plan, or blueprint, and they just haven't found it yet. This cognitive dissonance, where you avidly do not want a plan or blueprint for your business, you don't want to follow what anyone else is doing, you recognize that plans change and evolve, so why would we place so much importance on a plan, as well as this other desire for you to land on the right plan, strategy, and blueprint for your business, leads you in a vicious cycle where you're denying a desire and then also unconsciously prioritizing that same desire. Now, this shows up in the way that we continually keep tabs on what everybody else is doing within our industry, within business, within their career. We keep tabs on the strategies that they're implementing, what their plan is, what their focus is. And as you'll see, all of this is a focus on what other people are doing. It's about looking outside of yourself for the answers. And so what we tend to do is we create plans that are based on the success we see in other people, rather than going inwards to create a starting plan for ourselves and then doing the ongoing work to make that plan effective, which looks like this. It's not about getting it right, landing on the right strategy, blueprint, or plan for your business. It's about picking something, starting with it, and then doing the ongoing work to execute that plan and then tweak the plan based on your actual feedback in real time, one step at a time. When you change too many things all at once, you don't know what is and isn't working. And so it's really not that having a plan isn't effective. It's about the way we approach planning in our businesses. That is what actually needs to change, not ditching plans altogether. When you have a clear plan, a clear strategy, and a clear blueprint for your business, it makes everything so much easier. It allows you to feel more calm, more confident, and clear on what you're focusing your time and energy on. When you approach planning in your business, so that you're simply making a decision about what you're focusing your attention on, and then you're using the execution of that plan in real time to test its effectiveness and tweak accordingly, one step at a time. This is what sets you up for success. And over your business journey, you will then become clear on what your personal, unique, and successful blueprint is for your business. So I've been teaching this for years, and all the time that I've been talking about business and helping people grow their business, I've talked about the importance of having a plan. And this is within a niche and industry where most of the women I support have a lot of negative conditioning around planning. Like I said before, it's not because plans are actually the problem. It's because of the way we're approaching the plans. That is the real problem. And so part of my message to all of you listening to the podcast right now is, hey, get on board with plans and learn how to approach planning in a way that is effective so that you set yourself up for success. So, with all of that said, I hope I've been able to kind of sell you on the need for a plan. If you're still not there yet, let me share this next point with you. When we have a plan, when we have a clear strategy, when we have a blueprint for what we're going to focus our attention on, it allows us to let go of everything else we could be focusing our attention on. And as people who are creative, or entrepreneurial, there are usually so many different options in front of us, so many different paths we can go down on. And so the biggest problem we face is actually overwhelm rather than failure. Failure is actually a great thing because it shows you that you've gone out and taken action and you've been able to get feedback. Being overwhelmed, on the other hand, usually leads to no action, where you're unable to get the feedback, which is what is the most important thing you need in order to get to this personalized working plan and blueprint for your business. So not only do we need a plan in order to focus our attention, we also need a plan in order to overcome overwhelm. And that's one of the biggest problems most entrepreneurs face within any industry, and particularly those that see themselves as multi-passionate or creatives. In addition, we need a plan in order to provide us with the masculine structure for our business. Have you ever noticed that when you know exactly what your plan is, it allows you to relax and let go of all the other distractions? For example, I currently, and over the past 6 months plus, have been following a food plan. This means I know exactly the kinds of foods I want to be eating, and I know the foods that I don't want to be eating, which are those that are not in my plan. Now, instead of feeling overwhelmed every day because I can pick from every single food there is out there, I am clear, calm, and focused because I understand what I have decided to focus my attention on. Now, as I continue to execute that plan and eat the foods that are part of the plan, if I notice that some foods are leading to symptoms or reactions that I don't want, I can tweak one food at a time. I can stop eating one type of food at a time to notice whether that then makes me feel better or not. This gives me crucial information that then allows me to tweak the plan according to my actual reality. This is what we want to be doing with any plan, strategy, or blueprint for your business. And it's how anyone who is successful in business actually lands on a successful plan. So when you're measuring yourself against what's working for everyone else, what you don't realize is it's not the actual plan, strategy, or blueprint they're using. It is this process of having chosen something to start and having gone out and executed that and then learning from themselves in real time so that they're able to come up with what works for them. And then as they continue throughout their business journey, sometimes what was working will stop working and they will be going through the same process to continue forever tweaking that plan, strategy, or blueprint so that it is up to date with what is happening in reality for that business. That's how you continue to remain successful and be sustainable. So it's not about landing on the one, finding that perfect strategy. You know, we want to do this in all areas of life, finding the right partner, the right friendship groups, finding the right job. It's not about finding the right thing. It's about the way you approach that thing. Here's an example. Let's say I had a client, we'll call her Amanda, and she had so many different offerings in her business. She wanted to pursue lots of different directions. She's a spiritual healer. She's trained in all sorts of healing modalities. She's an amazing teacher. She's vibrant and radiant and is showing up on social media and has all of these amazing pieces of content and ideas she wants to share. She wants to do it all. Now, Amanda, when she comes to see me, is super passionate about what she does. There are many different directions she can go in, and yet she's finding that she doesn't have enough time to sustain her business. Now, in Amanda's case, with the actual client I worked with, she was not only juggling all of these ideas, but she was also juggling a full-time corporate job as well as a number of children. So she's got a lot on her hands. When she came to see me, I didn't ask her to get rid of her full-time job. I didn't ask her to ignore the fact that she has 2 children. And I didn't ask her to be somewhere that she wasn't in her business right now. Instead, I got her to accept her current circumstances so that we could build a plan that meets her exactly where she is right now. Through doing that, we're able to ascertain what will be her number one priority and focus in her business right now. This allows her to get rid of all the other ideas, which are actually what are taking up all her time and energy, rather than the job or the kids. Now, in reality, they are taking up some time and some energy, but that's not the thing that's causing the unnecessary drain when it comes to the work in her business. What is causing the unnecessary drain that's making her feel like she's behind all the time is actually how she's showing up with the amount of time she has to work on her business. Because in her case, she had a certain amount of time to use on the business, and she was using that time inefficiently. She was using it to spin around in circles with all of these different ideas, trying to move all of them forward at once, and then therefore not giving that focused, devoted, deep work energy to anything. So the work we do together is coming to a place of acceptance with her life outside of her business as it is, with the amount of time she has available to devote to her business right now. And we're looking at what is the number one priority that will move her towards the goals she has in her business. In her case, she wanted to ultimately move to fewer days working in her corporate job, and ultimately to being full-time in her business. But we can't just go from 0 to 100. We need to look at the steps to move her to a place where her business was able to financially sustain her in a way that also fulfills her, of course. And that requires a step-by-step process. It's not something we just expect to have done over a month or a couple of months or even a year. We take it step by step to make it sustainable. And we have to, at each step along the way, meet her where she is right now. So denying her circumstances and trying to make the problem the circumstances that are outside of her business was getting us nowhere. Instead, we needed to meet her where she is right now and recognize the need for a plan, a strategy, and a blueprint for her business that would focus her energy and have her starting to move forward and meet those goals that were going to move her towards the bigger goal she has of leaving her full-time job. This made a huge difference for Amanda because right away she was able to start building trust, satisfaction, fulfillment, and confidence within herself, because once she let go of all those other distracting ideas and had the priority for her business, she started to see more success. She started to experience more clients signing up. She started to experience a better presence online, and she also started to experience a better quality from herself with the way she was supporting her clients. She also had more time and energy because she's not constantly spinning in circles considering all of the options currently in front of her. Instead, she's actually moving forward on them. So this is a very common example, and the remedy began through creating that business blueprint for her that met her where she is in her current season of her life and her business, while also being clear on where ultimately she wants to go in the long run. Another example is a client I'll call Kathy. And Kathy had an issue where she had a number of different offers in her business, and she was working more than she wanted to be working in her business, and she was also earning less than she wanted to be earning in her business. So over the long term, we wanted to work on increasing the amount of business revenue she was receiving and reducing the amount of hours she's working in her business. In order to move her towards those goals, the very first step we take is to create that business blueprint for her that will see her meeting herself with her actual capacity and moving herself towards the increased business revenue. Now, again, this isn't a one and done thing. It's a journey. And so we want to look at what can we do with the time she has available right now in order to increase her business revenue and in order to reduce the amount of time she's working in her business. This required us to look at her actual capacity right now, as well as what she was experiencing in her business across the different offers she had. And to once again prioritize what we focus on within her business so that she's not trying to move all of these different offers forward when she's only got a certain capacity that she could be using and devoting to just one of those offers instead. So in Kathy's example, we got rid of all the other offers she had on. We devoted all of her time and attention to the core offer in her business that was actually already generating the most amount of business revenue. We reduced her hours and we instead had her powerfully showing up just with that one offer. This saw huge changes for Kathy. She was able to increase her prices. She was able to receive more clients into her business. She was able to do better quality work, and she was able to reduce her hours. All of this was a result of beginning with an aligned blueprint for her business that enables her to meet herself where she is today and also move her towards her goals. And we've got to start with that plan and strategy and blueprint first in order to focus the brain on how we're best going to do that, and then focus on actually executing that plan so that you can then tweak it along the way so that it meets you in every stage of the business journey. So this is how we approach planning in a way that's actually effective. And this is the approach we take when I talk about your world-class business blueprint. Now, I'm going to be holding an upcoming live masterclass next week on the 28th of May, all about this topic. It's called World-Class Business Blueprint, Grow a World-Class Business and Thrive as a Woman. And I'll be deep diving into 1, the 5 areas you need to nurture as a woman in business. 2, how to create a profitable and aligned business model. 3, how to develop rock-solid confidence. 4, how to stand out in your industry. And 5, what to focus on for the next 90 days in your business. In this masterclass, you'll be learning exactly how to create your starting strategy plan or blueprint for your business. And you'll also be learning about what to do once you've got this starting blueprint for your business. You can register for the masterclass for free over at letitiaringe.com/worldclass-blueprint. Now, today I want to leave you with a couple of journal questions to get you started on creating your business blueprint. The first question is, what are my current life circumstances that impact my business? 2, what are my business goals? And 3, what is happening in my business right now and what am I spending my time on? These 3 questions are really important for you to know your answers to so that you can have that information when we go into the masterclass to begin your blueprint. This is what you need to do no matter what phase of your business journey you're in right now, whether you're starting, validating, growing, or scaling your business. We use this same approach in order to create the best blueprint for your business right now. And remember, once you create your blueprint, you will be clear, confident, and focused on what matters most for your business, freeing yourself from the overwhelm and enabling yourself to move forward powerfully and learn in real time so that over time, you're creating your successful working blueprint for your world-class business. All right, my beautiful friends, I'm going to leave it here. I look forward to seeing you in the masterclass. And until then, I'll see you in our next episode. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. To deepen your learning and practice, make sure you're subscribed to receive our community newsletter. Subscribe at letitiaringe.com/newsletter. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review for the podcast, we ask that you please do that now so that this podcast can reach other listeners who also want to join us in creating a life that is beautiful.